Greenpoint Williamsburg Public Affairs presentation. This is Neighborhoods Today. And I'm Dick Mahan. Now let's join Chef Ralph Lupoli at the kitchen of Fanciful Feastings to see what culinary treat he has to offer.
Welcome to Fanciful Feasting Caterers. I'm so glad you can come back and cook with us again. I've chosen a recipe tonight that will allow you to entertain a great number of people. The recipe is for a curry chicken salad with raisins and nuts. We use white raisins in this. And I'm going to give you the ingredients for 50 people. So you can get your pencil and paper and we'll copy it. If you don't get it all, just write to us and we'll be delighted to send it to you. What we need is 16 cups of chicken. We need 5 cups of salted peanuts. We need a half a cup of salad oil. We need 3 to 4 tablespoons of curry powder. Now, 3 to 4 tablespoons, you can use more, less, depending upon your tastes. We need 2 cups of white wine, and always remember when you're cooking with wine, if you can't drink it, don't cook with it. We need 3 cups of raisins, and we need some mayonnaise. What I've done is I've poached chicken breasts, and what we do is put the chicken breasts in a pot, bring the water to a full rolling boil, put a cover on the pot, turn the heat off, put a cover on the pot, and let it sit for a fairly good hour, and you'll get a very nice, smooth chicken breast. You can see how nice and white that is and smooth it is. I personally prefer to break this up by hand and have big pieces. And as we're breaking it up, we put in the peanuts. Just mix it up. And that's basically what we're going to do. Now for the marinade, just give me a second while I get the pot hot. We use the oil. And we're actually cooking the curry. And I warned you in advance, your whole kitchen is going to be so fragrant and all of your utensils will turn green. But believe me, this is so good. I created this many years ago for the Fashion Group, which is a group of fashion ladies, and I have never served this where someone has not asked me for the recipe. Okay? Now you let that cook up and you let the curry cook. I don't know if you know that curry is a combination of many, many spices. We take the wine, pour it in. I see that I've spilled some, but that's okay. And we take the white raisins and plump them up. Now that is the marinade. Let me just lower the heat here. Pour this over that. You'll have to excuse me, spoons are nice, but hands are so much better. You're in your kitchen alone, so don't really be concerned if you spilled something or whatever. When you're taking the chicken apart, be sure that you pull out all of the veins and the little nerves and all of that. Okay. What we need to do now is cover this. This has to sit and marinate for 24 hours in the refrigerator. So we just cover that, and if you remember it, go and give it a few stirs occasionally. Now let's put that in the refrigerator, clean up our table. Okay, we'll go to bed, get up and have breakfast, and we will take out our curried chicken, which has been marinating for 24 hours. And you can see that that is all beautifully green and fragrant, and it just smells so fabulous. And the raisins are plump and just beautiful. Now what we do is take some mayonnaise, and again, this is something that depends on you. If you like a lot of mayonnaise, put in a lot of mayonnaise. If you don't like a lot of mayonnaise, put in what you need to hold it together. And I usually start with a bit. Whoop. The bowls are too small, but you've all asked that we use glass bowls, and these are what I have, so we're experimenting. So, as I said before, spoons are nice, but hands are better. Now, for me, that is enough mayonnaise. Believe me, you will get such raves and compliments on this salad. And it's something that you can serve summer, winter, any time of the year. Now we'll take one of our beautiful Villeroy and Bach platters, and which I've lined with lettuce. Forgive me, I'm having a little trouble tonight here holding everything. And we also have some very pretty radish roses, which we shall garnish with. I give you curry chicken salad with raisins and nuts. Very, very easy to prepare. You will be the smash hit of your neighborhood when you serve it. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy having wonderful parties. Thank you.
Next up, Angel Cappellino will be joined by her guest, Mary Alvarez, to explore the creativity of Sam Shepard, the playwright.
To many of us, Sam Shepard has become another male star of the silver screen, with such movie credits as The Right Stuff, Country, Baby Boom, Fools for Love. Well, his acting talent has been visible to us all. However, tonight we're going to discuss another side of Sam Shepard, and that is of the playwright. He is the winner of 5 Obie Awards, and is also the author of such renowned plays as Buried Child, of course, Fools for Love, and True West. And here with me to discuss the playwright and his many unique themes is Mary Alvarez. Mary is the co-founder of the PAM Repertory Company. She is also an independent director who just happens to be directing Sam Shepard's True West. Welcome, Mary.
Thank you. Nice to be here.
Okay, Mary, so tell us, what is so appealing about Sam Shepard?
Well, what's so appealing about his plays is Sam Shepard, the man himself, and the way he's described himself. He's described himself as a cowboy, an actor, and a playwright. And in this particular play, True West, it has all those elements.
I'm familiar with many of his plays, and it's true. I mean, as you're watching them, you could always pick out a character and say, I bet that's Sam Shepard. So why don't we go into some of the recurring themes as viewers when we go to one of his plays, what we can look for?
Well, he basically has 3 recurring themes. He has the gaining or the losing of innocence. He also has the element of suspense through his writing, through his characters, And also, he allows us to think.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, now, knowing that you are directing True West, let's use that as an example. Let's start with the first theme that we mentioned, which was Lost of Innocence. Where can we see that?
Right. In this particular play, you have two brothers, Austin, who's a writer, and Lee, who's a wanderer. He's a desert rat. And Austin is writing a love story, and the producer comes one day just to see how he's coming along with his writing. Well, the producer drops Austin's script, who's a writer, and takes Lee's suggestion as a Western. There, Austin loses his innocence.
Like it happens to us all. Okay, now, so why don't we go into the next one then? You mentioned suspense.
Well, you have suspense, but not just through the writing. You have suspense through the transformation of the characters. Because you never know exactly what the characters are up to. And that keeps us at the edge of our seats.
Oh, could you give us an example?
For example, Austin, who's this mild-mannered writer, wouldn't hurt a fly when we first see him, is transformed into this madman at the very end of the play because of his script being dropped. And his brother, who's this free-spirited human being, giving up his freedom and almost conforming to society.
Yes, and it seems to me that always through those character transformations, that as a viewer, you're always left, well, just say you're always left to make up your own ending. How does it end?
Well, that's the beauty of Sam Shepard, because he forces the audience, directors, actors, everyone involved to think. For example, at the end, who's going to win? Is it Austin, who's emotionally, mentally able to kill? Or is it Lee, who's physically a strong man and has no concern about who he kills or doesn't kill? It makes us think at the blackout, what's going to happen? The curtain never goes down.
Okay, well, Mary, I want to thank you for coming and bringing a little bit more understanding and hopefully a lot more enjoyment when we go to see a Sam Shepard play.
Thank you.
Stay tuned, because later on I will be talking with Matthew Green, who is the Director of Wine Sales at Peerless Importers, and he's going to tell us all we need to know about wine. Neighborhoods Today will continue in just a moment, so please stay with us.
Boaters who are too busy to check things out need to think again. Most boaters who drown aren't wearing one of these. A lot of boating accidents can be prevented by having the right equipment, knowing where it's at, and knowing how to use it. So be safe. Let the Coast Guard Auxiliary check out your boat before you go out in the water.
Life jackets save lives, and it's best to know before you go.
A message from the U.S. Coast Guard.
On a serious note, the importance of being well informed is always the basis for clearer understanding. And with an issue such as fire safety, the more information you have can be the difference between life and death. Here is Larry Meads, Fire Safety Coordinator for the Chase Manhattan Bank, to point out the potential hazards of using the family barbecue grill.
With the summer here, many of us will be cooking outdoors. I just want to relay to you some safety tips about the liquid propane gas grills. Some people use the abbreviation for liquid propane gas, LPG, to mean low pressure gas. That's an untrue. Liquid propane gas is universally used in barbecuing. It is a very dangerous gas. It's a heavier than air gas. If you had a leak of the gas from the cylinder itself, it would hug or stay close to the ground. Let's say we were out in our backyards, one of our tanks did have a leak. There is a great possibility that the gas itself would escape, find a way of getting into your basement, and if it approaches a heat source, the possibility is there for an ignition and possibly an explosion. When we use our gas grills, make sure that the supply line that leads from the cylinder itself to the regulator is in good order. When we're not using our gas grills, please shut down the gas tank at the tank itself. If we are cooking and we have kids, let's keep a good safe area around the gas grill clear of the children. Another good point to remember is that when we are cooking, that we don't have any combustibles nearby. For example, a wooden porch, part of the rear shanty or shed, the laundry, if the laundry's out on the line. Please, let's try to keep a safe area so that we cannot have any fires due to cooking. I thank you and enjoy the rest of the summer.
Let's return to Chef Ralph Lupoli as he and Matthew Green share their knowledge on wine.
I'm sitting with Matthew Green, who is the Director of Wine Sales for Peerless Importers, and want to welcome you to Fanciful Feasting.
Thank you, Ralph.
Have some curry chicken.
I would love to.
Taste it and tell us what you brought for us to drink with it.
Well, knowing that we have curry chicken this afternoon, I've chosen some red wines because traditionally people drink white wine with poultry.
Right.
And I wanted to show the versatility of red wines and to try to break down the myth that you should have white wines with lighter colored meats, red wines with darker colored.
You mean that law doesn't exist? I mean, or where did it start?
Well, it exists in hearsay. It started a long time ago with people who were less willing to experiment with wine and food. And I think that you'll see by tasting some of the products we have here this afternoon that you'll see that myth will be done away with.
What have you brought here?
Well, the first wine I'd like to start with is from northeast Italy, from the Piedmont region, from a town called Alba. And it's produced by a grape named Dolcetto, saying Dolcetto d'Alba. And the producer is Chiretto, who is one of the best-known producers, in Italy. And the name of the wine is Rosanna, as you can see by the big R. And the rest of the name on the label. So let's pour a little glass, swirl it up, and you can see the wine is young, rich, bright color. It's from the 1988
Smells
vintage.
fabulous.
Should get a wafting smell of spices and some strawberries in here. And I think that the wine, by not being all too bitterly dry, will complement the curry. It won't compete with it.
Now, would this be good to have with the dessert as well, since you mentioned strawberries and...
Well, no, it wouldn't, because when you have dry wines with sweet desserts, the two flavors really, the taste...
I just picked up on the strawberries. That smells fabulous.
That is wonderful.
That really smells wonderful.
And it will complement the nuts nicely because there is a slight nutty flavor in there that we can get by tasting. The next wine I brought is from the southern region of the Napa Valley in California, from a very special area called Los Caneros. And the reason that Los Caneros is so special is because it's got a long, steady, cool growing season. So the grapes really get to ripen fully and evenly.
They're having a lot of rain out there now, aren't they?
Yeah, this is traditionally their rainy season. California gets a lot of rain very quickly, and then it's dry for the whole growing season. This wine is from a producer known as Beaulieu Vineyards, or BV, who traditionally is known for their Cabernet Sauvignon. Now we're going to try their Pinot Noir. BV has just launched themselves in the Pinot Noir business because they found this very special area in Los Caneros that produces wonderful wines.
Pinot Noir is the grape.
Correct.
Okay, let's try some of that.
And you will not even have to swirl this to bring it to your nose and get a tremendous smell of strawberries and blueberries. And that comes from what we'll call the terroir, or the soil, and the interaction of the soil with a particular grape variety that's planted there produces these wonderful aromas.
One of the things that I wonder if everybody's noticing, how I'm holding that glass so that you don't do this and heat the wine.
You don't want to heat the wine up, and you also don't want to keep the wine still when you first pour it. You want to shake it around a little bit. That allows the wine to open up and the aromas to really expand.
That is just great. Too bad we can't drink wine on television because this is just wonderful. What else? What is the third one?
Well, the last wine we brought is from southern France, near Provence. And the producer is Place d'Argent, which means the palace of d'Argent. D'Argent was some king back in the 17th century. And this wine is made with the Merlot grape. And traditionally in France, Merlot is grown in the Bordeaux region, which is much farther north here. Down south where this wine is made, produces a very fleshy, we'll call it very fruity very open wine. It's very friendly, very easy to drink. The reason it would complement the dish well is because the white raisins are slightly sweet. This wine is very fruity. And between the sweetness of the grapes and the fruitiness of the wine, you see that the marriage is wonderful.
To me, to my nose, does not have as much of a fragrance as the other two.
No, it's slightly more closed in at this stage. The interesting thing is that all of the wines are from the 1988 vintage, which means that they're young. Okay, and some of them take a little more time to really develop and open up. With 5 or 10 minutes of aeration, this wine will certainly blossom into something as floral as the other two.
What would you recommend for someone who doesn't know wine, who wants to learn about wine, who wants to learn about drinking wine? How would you recommend they start? I mean, it's almost become a religion, you know.
Yes. Well, one of the things about the wine industry itself is that there's a tremendous amount of pretension build-up and a lot of myths, and that wine has to be expensive in order to be good, and that you have to drink red with red and white with fish. Those things simply aren't true. What I'd recommend is for the consumers to go into any local retail shop and pick up a publication that the local retailer would recommend. The Wine Spectator, Hugh Johnson's wine book. Something that's easy to understand and is really geared towards somebody who's interested in wine, but is maybe slightly afraid of it. And certainly the most important thing is to taste. Taste along with food, taste wines within different
How
regions.
much can you trust the retailer, the man who's selling it?
Well, you have to look at it this way. Most retailers are in the business because they enjoy it. And it's like a clothing store. If you go and you find something in a store and a merchant that you like and they treat you well, you go back and you can really build a good relationship with them.
Well, I think this is absolutely great. With the warm weather, do you have any special recommendations for that?
Sure. Interestingly enough, 2 of these 3 reds can be slightly chilled. And what that does is it makes the wine a bit more closed in. It's not quite as fruity, but it also takes away some of the dryness. And it makes them much more quaffable. And the interesting thing about where wines are going now is that we're looking at chillable reds. Red wines that you can drink cold or drink at room temperature.
I know it's breaking every law, but I've always chilled reds because that's the way I like it.
Again, there are no laws in the enjoyment of wine.
What does the director of wine sales do?
Well, at Peerless Importers, my company, I supervise the selling of over 550 different wines to 283 salespeople to 11,000 different accounts. And it sounds like a daunting task, and it is. I just try to keep things under control.
Sounds great.
Take away the pretension about wine.
Do you go and find these wines or find the vintners?
These wines are supplied to us by people who we buy different wines and spirits from, but there are certain brands that we represent that I have gone and searched out myself.
That sounds absolutely wonderful. Yeah, I can imagine. You mentioned something about going to France next week.
Yes, in fact, I'm going down to Avignon, to the Rhone Valley, and we're looking for our own Côte de Rhone. Should be exciting.
That is great. That is great. I thank you so much for joining us and helping us to understand a little bit about wine and breaking the myth of, is there anything about the wine business, any myth that you would like to shatter right here and now?
Yes. I think that the most important thing to remember is that wine is a food product. It was born meant to be enjoyed with food. And some of the most pleasurable experiences in life can be had while dining. And certainly wine, whether it be champagne, red, white, rosé, only enhances that.
I want to thank you. Toast your trip to France and to neighborhoods today, and we thank you. Ciao, till next time.
A votre santé.
For me, the wilderness is a place to practice my art, as it always has been for photographers, painters, and writers. For a scientist, it may be a place to seek the origins of life or find ways to save lives with cures for old and new diseases. what you do, it can be a place to find peace of mind and escape the pressures of the workday world. Unspoiled nature is an essential part of civilized life.
She is one of America's toughest drug enforcement agents. She is making a difference in the nation's war on drugs. Last year, she helped convict 90 drug dealers, seize several tons of crack and marijuana, and close down 10 major drug operations in her area. She is a 68-year-old grandmother. Her name is Irma. She set up a community drug watch that is changing her neighborhood. She did it for a lot of reasons, but the two most important ones are beside her. There are many ways to help in your community. To find out how, call the Points of Light Foundation. Do something good. Feel something real.
That's it for this edition. For Neighborhoods Today, I'm Dick Mahan. Thank you for watching.